All right. So another thing that we found out, or like we heard from one of our guests was Stout, and he had a right rotator cuff injury, and in fact, I think he still has it right now. And they were like a sort of wait and see approach to see if he would like recover from it by himself. But it turns out I think he's still injured from it, and he plays a lot of Valorant and aiming with his right shoulder and arm, and so like in that sort of like line, he's noticed that it's affected him in his aiming, and so like even in just gaming, right, in his shoulder. So what could you do to like, what kind of process would you have if say you had like some right rotator cuff, short of surgery? Like what would you be doing, or even after surgery, what would you be doing to like get back to it? What could you do?
Yeah, with that,
What can you expect?
I would focus on like the upper back, getting the upper back stronger first.
Interesting.
Building
'Cause it's the
kind of
core
around
thing.
this, building the muscles more, yeah, like our rhomboids, our back muscles to support the scapula, support our neck,
Gotcha.
support everything a little bit better,
Makes
to
sense.
take a little bit of the pressure off the rotator cuff. And then seeing how much strength you have in a rotator cuff, and then working around that too.
I feel like
You always think, because our body, you have to think like different
Bigger,
joints. If something is,
yeah. Okay.
but I don't know, if you work out, you know what your core muscles are, right? And I'm not gonna lie, my back. Okay, what I was gonna say when you said that, I do not work out my back as much as I should. So like, I think that's my weakest core muscle. So now I'm starting to think like, oh no, like I'm gonna, if I get hurt, like Jamie's gonna be like, did you work out your back? I'm like,
you don't want to neglect any muscle group. You want to work everything.
Mike has a guilty conscience
From
right
back
here.
to back.
He's got a guilty conscience. He's like, oh shit, I need to go to the gym right now. Like,
oh god,
no, yeah, that makes a
You
lot
don't
of sense.
have to go to the gym. You can do body weight
Fair
stuff
enough.
and
yeah.
There you go.
yeah, figuring out
But
what you like to do. That's
I'm actually
amazing.
go to maybe a friend's gym. It's the Sun's gym, you know. Get a workout in real quick. You know what I'm saying?
What's
But
what's the best
all right.
exercise to do to strengthen your shoulder? Like just simple, like without anything, without having to go to the gym or whatever. What's like?
For shoulder, I like to make sure you have that full overhead reach.
Okay.
So if you can't do that, you have to work on being able to reach completely overhead. Yeah, because some people, they just come up to here,
Oh.
and that can affect how you breathe too, because your
wow.
rib cage aren't able to expand,
Oh, yeah,
and they
you're
have
right.
to expand once your arm passes 90 degrees.
Wow.
So
okay.
so with shoulder, and the shoulder joint, it's supposed to move all around, so you
Yeah.
have to make sure you have that range first.
Wow.
Shoulder is more mobility than stability. So with shoulder, I would focus more on the mobility.
well, I think I'm not gonna lie. I think I overworked my right shoulder from volleyball recently, like a week or two ago, and I am still feel like, even after maybe a week now, I'm still feeling pretty sore. Like I cannot. There's no pain, but I cannot, like. It's not as easy to like do what you just said, like about right there. I start getting the.
Did you play, like, was it like something you did after not playing for a while?
No, I've been playing, but
been
I just played in 1 week I just like increased how much I played, like by a
Oh,
lot.
more of the overuse.
Yeah, that's what I felt like I did. But I feel like with rest, if I just like chill and I'm not doing too much, it'll just recover. But who
It
knows?
should. Yeah, rest is always resting can always help. And that's one of the causes of one of the main causes of injury: overuse, or doing too much too soon when your body's not ready for it.
Speaking of those, we were gonna move on to some like really like case studies in esports, right? Considering that there are a lot of players out there, a lot of professional competitors in gaming. They have to play these games for hours and hours on end, right? And sometimes they don't let themselves rest, like you were saying, or like they don't let themselves heal and things like that. So they do end up getting like these repetitive strain injuries, and a lot of like more specific ones. And I know perhaps these aren't necessarily like like the most specialized for you to be talking about. Maybe like the OTs would be somebody to talk about more about this. We'll find out, but we'd love to know if you have anything to talk about. Gamer's thumb actually is what it's called, de Quervain's tenosynovitis, right? It's part of your it's a wrist injury, right? What do you know about this?
Yeah, so it's more than likely from overuse. Like inflammation in the tendon in the thumb.
Yeah, and so like there's a lot of players that have experienced this, and I don't know, like especially controller players, right? Because they use their thumbs a lot with the analog sticks and things. So like, what can they expect if they do injure themselves in this way? Like what's their like path of recovery, or like how can they avoid it, or like what should we be looking for this?
Yeah, it can be. Again, it depends.
Yeah, okay.
It can be from like 2 weeks to 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending on how much pain they have and how much inflammation, how much overuse they've done. But I would say always try to see how you can accommodate.
Okay.
But I don't know how people usually use their thumbs and stuff, but maybe like using it in a different plane. So if you're always using a thumb this way, maybe kind of turning it a different way to use it.
I see.
Accommodating that to see if it can take some of the pain away, and you can still play your game and work around not having to rest as long.
That's clever.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because like I won't lie, like when I was young, so I write like this, right? And I was like, I don't know, when I was a kid, sometimes in like elementary school, like I did get in trouble. And they would, instead of us like doing some kind of like physical or maybe it is a physical punishment, we had to write like something like a million times basically. I kept doing this for a long time. I did it so much that like I developed like a muscle in my thumb basically. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. But you know what I could have done? I could have, instead of doing this the whole time, I could have just switched, like you said. It just wrote a different way.
Something a little different to kind of
You like changed Mike's whole life right there. He was like, wait, what if I had just done that like a million years ago?
Working around the injury. Yeah.
Very interesting. So one of the and I just wanted to share this story too, and I thought maybe this would be interesting to you. Is that shout out to Oscar for making us aware of this, because we had asked for some other case studies that might have occurred in professional gaming. So there was a Super Smash Bros. Player in Melee. And his name was Hacks or Hacks Money, and he had like a left wrist injury, right? So the GameCube controller. I don't know, back in the day when we had
not very ergonomic,
not very ergonomic at all, right? And not only that, but in a game like Smash Bros, where you're like using your thumbs like constantly, right? Using it for like, if he's playing like 10 hours a day, like to be like top 10 in the world, right? He's using it all the time. And so it turns out like he ended up getting like, he said like there's a quote, he felt an explosion in his left wrist, and then he like had torn several tendons and like had a lot of like scar tissue and cartilage damage and stuff, and then like he had a surgery, and he had never really felt the same after that. But what they ended up doing, and this is like, I felt like this was really innovative, right? And kind of what you were saying is getting like a workaround for something. To avoid doing that sort of strain again, right? He created his own, with the help of some of like other developers and engineers, he created his own controller. It was like a gamepad that he had, and that's pretty interesting. They called it the box, the B0XX. Like it's like the sort of Smash Bros meme where it's like 20XX. Meme, but like with the box, right? And so like he in the box, there's a lot of buttons on it, right? But it allows for him and whoever else might have similar injuries or like are trying to avoid that strain injury, to actually just press these buttons instead of having to use your thumbs all the time, constantly, right? To like guide their character or do anything to avoid having to do those important things. Like then you can just do it a different way, right? Like kind of like Jeffrey was saying. So I found that to be pretty interesting and very innovative, right? A way to fix a problem. So shout out to Oscar for telling us about for Hacks, and shout out to Hacks for his innovation there. It's pretty interesting how people can be really resourceful and fix problems, right? Another thing that we actually, before we move on from Hacks, I also found out that he was a top 200 in League at one point, because he stopped playing Smash for a little while and he started playing League, and he made it to top 200 as a Twisted Fate one trick. So like
Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate. That's your boy right there.
Yeah, dude. Maybe it wasn't him, but it was Jeffrey that had got to top 200.
There you go.
That's the TF one trick. we didn't know. But yeah, the next one that we had was a neck pain or cervical root impingement. There was a bilateral upper extremity paresthesia. Y'all correct me. I am not in there.
So like neuropathy or basically So basically it's just like, I don't know, like if you have like neck pain or like your your vertebrae are pinching or whatever, you might end up getting like numbness or tingling in your arms and like maybe lose feeling and stuff. So Jeffrey, what do you what are you talking what are we talking about here? Like when we were talking about these injuries?
Yeah. So like the nerve roots that come out of our vertebrae in our spine.
Okay.
When they're compressed, like exactly like you said,
Okay.
they can cause the numbness, tingling in certain patterns. So kind of depending on what level is compressed, it can be more like in a thumb and index. It can be more middle finger. It can be the last, like C6, 7, 8 different levels. But it depends.
Gotcha.
But with those kind of injuries, because it starts from the neck.
Okay.
Then it's more about kind of strengthening the neck muscles and making sure your neck has the right range of motion. So being able to, they're not more restricted on one side, turning and stuff like that, trying to work with that. But I would say upper back strength is just as important for this case too.
Okay.
Being able to support the shoulders and also your neck. So those muscles are stronger back there. You don't get as tired from up here.
Gotcha.
So now that you're saying all this, I'm sorry to come up with my own plan. I know you say you don't maybe work with too many gamers yet, but it's starting to sound like, hey, a lot of gamers just need to work on strengthening their core back muscle for a lot of it. I mean, obviously their legs too, because some people don't work out their legs, right? So because they're sitting all the time, but it's just all your core muscles, right?
Yep.
Just work them out.
So that, and then also just like shoulder mobility. I would say that's a big one too. Making sure you still have the mobility to do it.
I'm sorry, but I have to mention this. Somebody in our chat, Fast Wee.
Shout out to Richard.
Yeah.
So Richard.
He said
I've been seeing some of his comments.
Bigger back to carry more noobs. I'm sorry.
You gotta strengthen your back to carry people, right? I mean, come on.
You gotta be able to carry people.
When your team is heavy, dude. Like it feels like LeBron out here, man. Like I bet you LeBron has the strongest back in the world right now.
Basically.
Console.
Yeah.
But yeah, that neck pain injury that we were talking about, that was from a StarCraft 2 a dude calls him the Terran God.
Yeah, MVP.
MVP. So
yeah.
It's just unfortunate. Like we have like from different games, like RTS. We just mentioned a fighting game, and now we have an RTS injury in sports, but like they're not widely spoken about as of now because esports is just growing as of now. But in the future, it might become a more common thing. So just like raising that type of awareness with you is something we're trying to do right now.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it can probably be from like sitting and your neck's a little bit more forward and just in the same position for so long.
Yeah. You mean like you're right next to your monitor, leaned in.
Positioning can cause some of that.
See, so that's why you gotta have like good posture, like Jeffrey, all the time, man. Like this, like
and just stay moving.
Oh yeah,
gotta stay moving.
Makes sense. I like it. Good advice. Yeah, so that was one of the things that caused, and like a lot of these injuries that we're going to talk about are like either causing them to miss big tournaments or like or like have to sit out or be benched or whatever, or even retirement, right? Like some of these are serious enough to cause retirement. And so like there was me and Mike were really into Counter-Strike for a while, and some of our favorite players, Guardian, who it was like one of the CIS players, and also Olaf Meister from Sweden. Those two players, they ended up around the same time. Actually, they were like top of the world. Like they were like super good. Maybe top 1, 2, 3 teams in the world at the time. And
both operas also.
Yeah. I don't remember. Was Olaf Meister an opera? I don't remember.
Yeah, they were both. They were
both capable snipers, operas.
Yeah.
And so I didn't find what their specific injury was, but they definitely had to miss a lot of time because of like some wrist injuries, right? And like repetitive strain injuries, right? So like Jeffrey, what do you know about repetitive strain injuries? Maybe not just like in the wrist or hands, but like what exactly are those?
Just in general?
Yeah, what are RSI, or repetitive strain injury? I don't know. I kept coming across this.
Yeah, I know it more from like a general perspective.
Okay.
It's just it's more like an overuse, like repetitive motions and the same motions causing causing that strain or causing that damage. But
Where do you see it the most?
Where do I see it the
Yeah,
most?
you personally, like in PT.
I'd probably say it's more in the low back then.
Low back.
Lower back. Why do you think it's the lower back that you would see that the most?
Just from like from sitting or from like staying in the same position and things like that.
But it's because they're not staying in motion for lower back, or like what? Because like I would have thought maybe it would have been one of the things that you move more, like either your legs or like your shoulders or something. But like you said, lower back, and I feel like you wouldn't have to do a motion all the time for your lower back, or that's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, yeah, probably not the low back then.
Well, I'm just guessing. You're actually experienced. I'm just guessing things right now.
We probably don't see too much with the repetitive for low back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I guess we don't. Yeah, I guess I don't see too much of the repetitive,
In general. Okay.
like repetitive strain.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike, are you tilted?
I'm just a little tilted today, but I think Jay Woo, are you tilted?
I'm tilted, fully tilted.